Hello everyone and welcome to the long-awaited dHealth AMA, where we will answer all the questions put forth by the community, no matter how long it takes. I'll be hosting the AMA and Eberhard Scheuer will be joining me to answer all the inquiries. I'm sure everyone in the community knows who Eberhard Scheuer is, as well as myself, but let's do a brief introduction for anyone that has joined the dHealth community recently. Firstly, for myself, I am a brief introduction of myself. I am Filip Milnicic. I am a dHealth community core team member and have been for quite some time. I perform the role of the community lead as well as many other roles such as technical writer, marketing specialist, and other roles. Now passing on to you, Eberhard. Could you give us a short introduction of yourself?
Thank you, Philip. I'm Eberhard Scheuer. I'm the founder of the dHealth network. I'm originally a psychologist, as you all know, so that's why I'm interested in data sharing, research data, and incentivizing people for changing their behavior, i.e. sharing data. And I consider myself now as one of the custodians of the dHealth network DAO.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Eberhard. Since there are quite a few questions and all of them deserving very thorough explanations, I think it's best to dive right in. So let's start with the first question, which is a question about centralized exchanges, and it is a multi-part question. So the question goes as following. Why hasn't a centralized exchange listing been executed so far? Because there was one planned. What are the hurdles with regarding to listing on exchanges, specifically centralized exchanges, and when can we expect one?
So right now we are only listed on Osmosis, which is the biggest DEX in the Cosmos ecosystem. There's another one, another significant one, which is Kujira. But right now it's Cosmos. And to be honest, another DEX only makes sense if we extend to another ecosystem, another blockchain that has their own DEXs. So when we come to the centralized exchange listing, I mean, you already saw in the living paper that this was only planned once we have enough liquidity to do so. And here we are looking easily, if we go for like a decent exchange, we're looking at $100,000 for fees, liquidity that you have to provide, and market making. So we are on it. And there's one interesting development that we are probably having a grant coming in from a partner from another ecosystem who wants to cooperate on decentralized science, because DeSci is one of the buzzwords these days. And so that should enable us to do a centralized exchange listing. Of course, I know that's later than we expected, but still, despite all the resistance, I think we should manage it at the beginning of 2025, like January. Let's put it that way. I know that's much later than expected, but I think with all the good news, with the partnerships coming up right now, I would say that we can really hold that line this time.
Excellent. Good news.
I mean, in that context, we could have also sold DHP, but DHP right now, to my take, it's heavily undervalued, so it wouldn't make sense to sell DHP just for a listing, because we would have to sell over the counter such a big amount that this would already threaten like the decentralization of the whole system. This is not an option. The money has to come from partnerships and grants. We're working on that.
So to the next question. The second question, again a multi-part question. So it goes as following, and I hope you'll be memorized the questions. So will the new token releases utilize the token, the DHP token? Are there customers adopting the new tech release? Will this process be transparent, as in who is adopting this new technology release that we announced that goes together with the airdrop? And will this tech release be exclusively B2B, or can the community help the team in its growth? You can answer, and then I can repeat the questions when you answer one question, or however we work this out.
I see the questions, so I can repeat it also, because basically those are 4 questions. So of course, the new tech releases will utilize the DHP as a token, as a utility token. Everything else wouldn't make any sense. I mean, creating new tokens would not help the dHealth and DHP situation. So of course, DHP is an incremental part of any new project or current project on dHealth. Okay, and then we come to the customer using tech release. I know it's kind of who are the customers right now? There's so many companies on the website. So let's be honest here. Who's the customer in the context of a blockchain in general, or a DAO? So we have worked, or still working, with organizations and companies, but let's be honest. I mean, the same situation, DeFi. Do the banks work with blockchain? No, they don't. They're just some companies testing it, and the same is happening in blockchain in healthcare. Partners are testing it. We have partners like Fachhochschule Nordwestschweiz or Swiss TPH that are actually building and continue to use it. But pharma companies have worked with us. They're currently, with the DeSci hype, re-evaluating it. But this, in my opinion, is taking a long time to get to significant transactions. So our focus right now is, as DeSci says, decentralized science is citizen science. So we need to give individual users a good value proposition. And I think now, with the features of data sharing, disguising your privacy, sharing data in an encrypted way for analysis, is all down the alley of individual users sharing their data and also protecting their data, which in turn then will again engage pharma companies. As a matter of fact, I will have a call with one of the large pharma companies offering weight reduction on the world market next week. I had a call with Swiss Post providing the National Patient Registry this afternoon. So with all the discussion going on right now, we have more inquiries in the last 4 weeks than we had in the last 2 years, which actually makes me very optimistic, in combination with the grants, that we can really move things forward here. And of course, all the partners, if they work directly with us, then they will be transparent. But also, you have to be aware, dHealth is open. Everybody can use dHealth, like an open network, upload their own smart contracts. They don't even have to ask us. And that's would, in my opinion, be the ideal scenario, that we have partners that we don't even know about. They're just using the platform for their own benefit.
Yeah, exactly as it was envisioned at the very beginning of the dHealth project, where dHealth is the platform, the architecture used by healthcare participants and stakeholders. Okay, the last question of this multi-part question is, can the community help the team in its growth? Then the answer is definitely yes. By creating their own solutions that are obviously focused on, what do you call them? Citizen scientists?
Science, that's a term where people actually take initiatives to collect data and then analyze the data and share the data. One of the examples is patient groups, where they themselves use dHealth as a data collection platform, and then the data that's being collected through the app Sentiva can be analyzed by those patient organizations. So that can be even one single patient with a rare disease or an interest that starts that. So actually, we're going to productize Sentiva now, so that everybody can use it from the outside without even having to talk to us.
Excellent, great news. Okay, let's go to the next question. The third question out of, I think, 25. So, this is a simple one, I would say. So, is it possible to obtain DHP by paying USDC or USDT directly to dHealth management instead of purchasing DHP through the DEX? This question is set forth because, as the community member states, or the question, the liquidity on the DEX is quite thin at the moment, which results in high slippage. So, yeah, is this possible?
I think OTCs, deals in general, over-the-counter sales are possible. Probably not with the management there. In the DAO, there is no management. So that's just stakeholders, guardians, and I think some people are in since a long time, so they might want to sell some of it. But I would actually prefer if OTC deal goes through the association, so that we can actually use that crypto for listing purposes. So, I mean, it's one thing if tokens change hand among peers, that's totally fine. I mean, nobody can prevent people from that. But right now in the situation, I would rather have those deals go through the association. And you can actually, with the new osmosis feature of limited orders, you can also do the same. I mean, you put an order and say, I want to buy 1 million DHP for that price. So you don't have to buy on the spot or sell on the spot. You're just putting out an order, and that's not related to the current liquidity in the pool, which is, I have to admit it, quite low compared to other projects. But with the partnerships coming up, there will be a pool of DHP with another crypto currency out of the Cosmos universe, so that should be resolved to some extent.
Okay, good to know. The next question is, we kind of touched briefly on this already. So what will happen to Sentiva Life app, and do you plan to release a new version? And when will you release, or well, but when will the new app be released?
Sentiva is already running on the Cosmos network, but in order for people to use it without us having to help them to onboard, it definitely needs some brushing up. It needs some upgrade. And with the whole DeSci discussion, the Sentiva app came back into our focus, and that's actually treatment monitoring, what we have been asked for lately, the most, actually. So definitely, I know we have, before the pandemic, we have positioned that as a strategic area, but then during the pandemic, we kind of lost the focus on that. And right now, and you also see that on the website, it's one of our 3 key pillars of applications, because that's the easiest way of generating data, and the most valuable data, which is everyday real-world data in healthcare, because then you can connect it to clinical trial data, which is just a very small snapshot of your life. And this is actually requested the most right now. When will you release the new app? That's
Yes. So maybe a rough estimate.
I would say, depending on how things are going, definitely February. So let's look 8 to 12 weeks from now.
Okay, exciting. That's relatively soon. And then the other part of this question is about the ongoing projects that we had, specifically what's happening with the rabies project, what's happening with the medical marijuana project, update, and the donor card project.
Rabies project comes out of a research collaboration with the European Union and the Swiss TPH, and it's happening in Africa, Mali and Ivory Coast. It's implemented, ready, and working in Ivory Coast. Mali has some cultural problems because going from paper to digital seems to be still an issue. But the good news is it's running on the Cosmos-based dHealth network, and is actually running. And I just talked to Professor Zinsstark, who's the primary investigator in that, and also the one who transferred that into a regular application on the ground. He said, to his knowledge, this is the first implementation where human and animal data are basically handled in the same project, because rabies, as you know, is transmitted by mainly dog bites, and the tracking, and this is where dHealth is actually being used, the tracking of the medication is implemented in that. So they can always see where in the logistics hub where the medication is. And the primary result is there's no medication disappearing and nobody knows where it went. So the whole purpose is fulfilled. It's ongoing. It's actually one of the projects where I have to say, for a long time, it's working well. And academics, we noticed, are more open to trying new stuff, and they don't have to follow business reorganizations and so on. Okay, next project, Mariana Medical Project. This is actually something that came originally from one of our original team members, Isaac, and it's still ongoing. That's all I can say. Update Health, that's the Health to Earn application, which some of you still use. We have not migrated it yet because it takes some resources. And right now there is no sponsor for the incentives. So why am I saying that? Because if we just give out tokens, that's nice, but it just increases the inflation. So if we continue that, we need to have a partner that can, and I invite anybody from the community to also look into if they want to drive that project. It's open. Nobody owns that project. It's part of the dHealth community project. So if you're interested in developing that further, you can. Just come talk to us, talk to our developer Sun, who created that. We can actually migrate it quite easily to dHealth, to Cosmos dHealth. Last week we had an interesting call with developers who develop Telegram mini apps. So Very easy to develop. I would say migrating update as a Telegram mini app would open a large user community. We just have to make sure that people are real people and not bots. And you don't necessarily have to connect mini apps to the Ton blockchain, which is it's a separate entity, but it's of course closely integrated into Telegram mini apps. But you can also trigger payouts on other blockchains like dHealth. Good. The third and last project that was asked for is the donor card project.
Yes.
One of the developments we have done when you look on the website is data sharing with the multi-party computing thresholds, signature security. So this is a very high-end technology, but what it does in the end is you can assign other people as guardians of your data. And if you, for example, in the case of organ donation, if you are unconscious, if you are actually brain dead and cannot sign transactions to release the data, such as the organ donor wish, your relatives or people who have the attribute in the digital identity as a doctor can release that data and look what your wish is. Because what we don't want to do is put the card on the blockchain so that everybody can see it. That's kind of calling all the data protection guys of this world to us. So we had to develop that special data sharing process, which I would say is quite unique in the scene and will also attract more partners in the end. Partners in the organ donor card projects are Paris Transplant Group and OrganX. They are waiting for it to be released, and the release is, as we said,
Yes.
of the data sharing is with the airdrop next week. So then they have to decide how to move that forward. I mean, from our side, then everything will be done. So this is basically in their hand to, because they have credibility. We don't have the credibility for organ donation card, although I myself worked in that space.
Yeah, so the ball is in their court, as they say, right? Yeah. All right. Thank you for the in-depth explanation. Let's go to the next one. So the fifth question out of 22 is, what are the roles, what roles are expected of the community and token holders who are part of the DAO?
In the interest of time, I'm now answering questions much shorter and not go into such a detail. So basically here, part of the DAO is bring proposals, bring project ideas, develop yourself, bring partners. I mean, as a DAO, you can start developing on dHealth. You can bring in proposals. And the community then has to vote on the proposal.
Okay, very straightforward. Next question. What do you think makes dHealth different from other medical blockchain projects? For example, MediBlock and VitaDAO.
They all build on other blockchains. So they have a specific purpose. VitaDAO, for example, financing certain research projects. MediBlock is a medical record. I saw that they just had revived the whole website, the whole project lately. Also built on Cosmos, by the way. Yeah, they have one specific purpose. We want to enable others to build their project specific purpose. I think that's the main difference. And some of the other projects out there, they're just smart contracts or even only one token. So that's how we differ from our holistic approach from them.
Okay, the next question is actually first a statement and then followed by a question. So, and it goes as follows. Just recently, Binance Labs announced its investment in bioprotocol. We may see more investments in collaboration between science and medical fields and blockchain technology, such as these, which we've been discussing. So the question is, are you prepared, or well, are we, but the question goes, are you prepared for that?
Of course we are. We're actually on it. As I said, we are working on a partnership that we hope we can announce next week or certainly before Christmas, which will also bring things forward. But one thing you have to notice, who's investing here? It's Binance Labs into bioprotocol. What does it mean? It's crypto guys investing in crypto or blockchain healthcare. You will not find an organization like a big pharma company investing in a blockchain project for regulatory reasons. That's just the bitter truth. So here we see Binance Labs, crypto guys investing in dHealth. And I mean, ever since CC and Vitalik discussed dHealth, my phone never stops ringing. So that's actually
amazing.
So I think there was a strange dHealth project. So let's talk to them what they're doing. That's it.
All right, sounds exciting. The next question is, now that smart contracts have been introduced, how will the code be audited for soundness, or in other words, non-maliciousness or correctness?
I mean, Cosmos itself is permanently audited, the SDK and so on, but the smart contracts that you put on any layer 1 blockchain has to be audited by the creator of the contract. If we create a contract, then of course it will be audited by one of the usual suspects. But in general, the creators of the smart contracts are responsible for auditing the contract, giving the trust that they are not having some malicious code in that. So this is the answer to that. We are not auditing. We are not an auditor institution for other people.
So in other words, dHealth will hire a legitimate third party for auditing if we are the ones deploying the smart contract on the dHealth network. Okay, the next question is, what realistic market cap of DHP token does the dHealth team expect after all the important milestones are achieved, such as releasing the new technology, airdrop on Cosmos, negotiations with centralized exchanges, etc. So I did clarify when this question was dropped in the Telegram chat by a community member that we cannot speculate, but perhaps Eberhard, you can share your own personal opinion since the community is clearly interested to hear it.
Fact is that dHealth is, at least in my impression, undervalued. So something has to happen, and this is certainly partnerships, centralized exchange listing, and then, I mean, easily the valuation will go up times 10. So then it's even undervalued, let's be honest. So my personal ambition is 5 cents.
10x and plus. Sounds good to me. Next question. We have briefly already touched upon this question, and the question goes, paraphrasing here, how long will it take us to rewrite the code? Because we switched to Cosmos from the symbol-based blockchain. This question has been sort of already answered. So for Sentiva, if I'm not mistaken, you said February, because Sentiva is still running on the old blockchain. And then, if I'm not mistaken, for update, you said that if there is interest from a sponsor or a partner, it can be written in about a week or two if we focus maximally on it. Okay, and the question is, I suppose, since we already discussed these, is there any other code rewrites planned regarding the old applications and projects that we had?
Those are the two applications that we are basically pursuing or continuing, and the new ones are like the data sharing stuff are already, I mean.
Okay, next question. When will an update for the roadmap be published?
There will be no concrete long-term roadmap anymore because it's just not feasible. It depends on so many things happening. If you saw, I updated the living document. It's basically reduced to what comes into the next 2 to 3 months. One is the airdrop that should happen next week. We wanted to do it this week, but then Thanksgiving was yesterday. Also, part of our team is in Lebanon. The war started and ended, so that kind of got in the way. So it's happening next week. The bridge into dHealth into a larger ecosystem will happen hopefully this year. That's depending on the partnership agreement. Integration of data storage will be decentralized data storage solution will also be one of the next steps, but that takes January. It depends on the technical integration, communication between dHealth and the partner. So that will cover the next, let's say, 8 weeks. Anytime if we have the funds, we will prioritize centralized exchange listing.
Awesome. All right. Long-awaited centralized exchange listing. Personally, very excited. I hope we deliver as soon as possible. Okay, next question. What will happen to DHP that was not migrated from the symbol-based blockchain?
Time until the end of April 25 to migrate it. What basically will not be migrated will go to the community fund. And you should also remember that we burned 200 million DHP in the migration process to leave more room for staking. So this will basically, I would say, also the amount that will not be migrated from the old to the new.
So will part of it be burned and the part assigned for the community funds, or all the DHP that was not migrated will go towards the community funds?
The DHP, we pre-mined, I mean, when we started, we released a certain amount of DHP. That was the number of DHP on the symbol chain minus the 200 million that we burned. So basically, we pre-minted it. And what's left until the migration day will all go to the community fund.
Just to clarify, are dHealth DAO members, or in other words, token holders can vote on how these funds will be used, correct?
People, DAO members can already submit proposals. I mean, that's you can do that. And then we have a community vote on that.
Okay.
But maybe if you want to submit a proposal, you should reach out to us beforehand so we can actually make sure that it will be, if it makes sense, that it will be known to the community, because voting period is 72 hours. If you just put it there, I doubt it that it will be accepted. So we have to communicate it beforehand.
Next question, the 13th question. What is the status of technology related to managing patients' personal information?
The status is that for one, you have to store it on your side, but to share it, it will be, or at least a pointer to the data, and temporarily the data you want to share in an encrypted way will be put on decentralized storage for the period of time that you define, and then disappear. And that will be with our new partner, which I cannot name right now, but there's a limited number of decentralized storage providers out there, so you can make wild guesses. That will be January, February, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Similar to the non-migrated DHP question. It says, so what will happen to the old chain DHP held by inactive accounts that may have been lost in the initial airdrop? So I guess this is asking about the unclaimed DHP from the initial airdrop.
I mean, that basically are accounts that are not transferred, and they will go to the community fund.
Okay, good to know. Next question. What is the expected timeline for the release of Health to Earn following the transition to Cosmos? Additionally, could you provide information about other features currently under development?
I mean, we talked about Sentiva and the data sharing multi-party computing stuff. There's one feature coming up as well, that's homomorphic encryption. What does it mean? That other people can run analysis on encrypted data. You might remember the discussions around DNA data. If you put it in blockchain, or people can actually analyze the raw data, nobody can prevent them from taking the data. And once you have the DNA data of a person, you know all about this person. So you should, if someone is asking, even if it's Elon Musk for Grok, you should not share your DNA data for AI, especially. So homomorphic encryption, just very short. You can encrypt your data, put it on the temporary storage. Someone or some organization can analyze it, get the insights, but has never access to the raw data, and then you can remove it and nobody has access anymore. So this is our solution, and I'm expecting that's the use case where we are expecting a lot of corporate interest in, but we are not there yet.
All right, next question. What is the expected timeline for the release of the Health to Earn following the transition to Cosmos? And additionally, could you provide information about other features currently under development? Just to address the first part of the question, the Health to Earn. So this relates to both Sentiva and Update. You already provided a timeline for both, so I'll just repeat. Sentiva, January, maybe February, and Update depends on interest from potential partners or sponsors. If there is a significant interest, a potential partnership, then if we focus all our efforts, it can be rewritten, reapplied to Cosmos in 1 to 2 weeks.
As far as I understand, the question extends to observational studies in epidemiology, and it's a definite yes, because people creating data, real world data, and sharing it, this is kind of revived as a movement right now. So technically, yes, and personally, I'm also interested in that, driving that forward.
Yeah, this is the next question. So would researchers in the future be able to request data from unique individuals globally who have their health on the dHealth and then use the data, for example, in observational studies in epidemiology? But it's also connected to the question before it, which was asking about other features being developed right now. And this includes the homomorphic encryption you mentioned. But yeah, I think we answered both questions, so we can continue. The next question is, what happened to your relationship with your previous partner, Bowhead Health?
It kind of does very little with blockchain. They moved into a specific app development, but actually we are having an extensive discussion next week with them. As I said, they're from the US, so Thanksgiving is happening. So we have a discussion next week about common projects.
Okay, thank you for answering. Next question, just for those watching, we have 6 more questions. So, the question goes, can the team elaborate as much as possible on current partnerships about healthcare? Are the old ones still in place? Are some no longer possible? Have there been new ones? So basically, partnerships, what is the current situation?
Partnerships are on hold, the old ones, because of different reasons, mainly pandemic came into way. We had partnerships in the pandemic. We have a discussion with one of the large Danish pharma companies. We're still friendly terms with Roche. They're still using some of our stuff, but the old stuff. So partnerships are the universities active, Swiss TPH, as I said, then University of Zurich, Fachhochschule Nordwestschweiz. That's I don't know what the English term of that is, but they're actually helping us quite a lot in the security, homomorphic encryption stuff. And they're actually actively using our Sentiva tool.
Then the next question is, what will be the airdrop criteria? If it can be publicly announced right now at the moment, and is it possible to get in by buying Cosmos-based assets?
It's the criteria are the amount of atoms staked and recent activity in the Cosmos Hub account. So I would say, I mean, given that we are not airdropping large number of DHP, it doesn't make sense for anybody in the community right now to increase their stake in Atom in order to get DHP, because we're looking at a cutoff of 25,000 accounts, each getting a couple of hundred DHP. So that's not really worth making an effort, because we don't do the airdrop to spread the token that already exists for a long time. We do that to enable the people to test, have enough DHP to test the new features. That's what we are interested in. And also making the community aware, because we're going to get the retweet from Cosmos and also from the airdrop guys.
Okay, great. Good to know. Good to know. Because this is also the question I've been receiving a lot in the community chat. So I'm glad that we can clear that up. People were wondering if they should be buying Atom to get DHP. So I'm glad you clarified that it's better to just get the DHP if you want DHP instead of Atom. Okay, so the next question is, in what situations are community funds used?
Community funds are there to support projects, concrete projects, and we already mentioned that if you have a project, talk to us, and then there must be a community vote in order to use the community fund.
So in other words, whatever the community deems appropriate, and the dHealth team cannot affect this in any way. If the community decides to use the DHP from the community funds for something, we as custodians cannot do anything about it, correct?
I mean, there's an automatism that the payout will be if the vote gets accepted. It's automatic.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify this because dHealth is a DAO now, which was planned and announced from the very beginning. And I often get these sorts of questions in the community chat, and people seem to not understand that this is how it is now, that the dHealth team is just a custodian. So I was hoping to get a clarification. I guess we got it. So the next question is, does the team have plans to get involved in the open data space?
I guess we touched on that already, that the new features of data sharing enable that, and any initiative is welcome. I think open data space is one of the great things about internet and connecting people, so that we don't have to give the data to some centralized entity that we have to trust. So, of course, we support that.
Of course, yes. So, next question. It's again a sort of a statement followed by questions. So it says it's great to see innovative technology being implemented. How much human resources does your company, former foundation, allocate to such technology development? And are there plans to add resources to accelerate DApp's development?
I would love to dedicate more than four, or depends, 4 or 5 people at the moment, but this will change with the partnerships, of course. But as the nature of the DAO is, I mean, people can always do their own stuff. So we have to basically disconnect ourselves from traditional thinking in blockchain that everything is centralized and has to be driven by a team. I know that's much easier for a lot of people to do and wait that something happens. So I would love to see people with their ideas to be involved more.
Okay, thank you for answering. So the final question now is again a statement followed by a question. So it says exactly as following. I'm reading it, not paraphrasing. This may be a question that cannot be answered because of confidentiality reasons. The amount of funds raised in the IDO was small, and it is likely difficult to raise funds through a token sale at the current token price. So the community member asked the question, feels that the project is going ahead because of an injection of funds from investors. And this person is wondering, is that the case? If so, what can we share?
I mean, I saw comments in Telegram that doubted the dedication of the people involved to driving it forward. I can reassure you that with very limited resources, people are very dedicated. Although from the outside, they think we're not communicating, we're not doing something. That's definitely not the case. I would say that with the strategic partnerships, things will become much more dynamic. And as I said, this should happen within the next 2, I would say, weeks, so that we can actually invest not just time and sweat and blood, but also pay some people to move things forward faster. And this will, of course, bring also the token price up. Even the announcement of partnerships, if they're significant, and also will open another ecosystem apart from Cosmos itself to the sale of DHP.
Thank you for sharing, Eberhard. And this brings us to the end of the questions. It's been quite an informative journey. And before we conclude, do you have anything more to add to this MAA?
Yeah, I mean, I have to add that I'm very thankful for community members being so patient and supportive. And we are all planning on not to disappoint you with your patience and support. So wait for the partnership announcement and things to develop quite dynamically in the near future.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you once again. And also once again, thank you our dear community members. If you have more questions that pop up as a result of these answers, provided in the AMA, please drop them in the Telegram chat, and the team will tend to them as soon as possible. And see you all in the next MA. Bye bye, guys.